All right, guys, this week we've got a really quick weekly breakdown update for you. Just a handful of new workflow actions and triggers, as well as a new module or new element available for you inside the page builder. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss these updates. But like I said, really quick. So let's jump right in. Again, new triggers and actions inside of the workflow builder. What's cool about this update is that HighLevel is investing more into native integrations inside of HighLevel, meaning not needing to use Zapier, not needing to use an API or anything along those lines, things that are built directly into HighLevel. So we've got a couple new ones. Specifically, we've got Airtable. Okay. So triggers for a new record created and a record updated at 5-minute intervals, meaning it's not going to be instantaneous at the quickest. It'll be it's going to be basically it's going to poll every 5 minutes. And so that means the longest amount of time that it can be in between updates is 5 minutes. But obviously, if an update takes place and that's 2 minutes between before the next polling period, then it's only going to take 2 minutes for that. So a couple things to pay attention to with that. The next one is ClickUp. Same thing, right? Now, these ones are instantaneous. These are not polling ones, meaning we don't have to wait a 5-minute interval for updates to come through. If you're using ClickUp, these triggers inside of here are going to happen instantaneously. So this is task changes, new time entries, new tasks, new lists, new folders, new comments on a task. We are big ClickUp users, so we're really excited to get in there, get our hands dirty, mess around with these. If you use ClickUp and you're in the mortgage industry, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how you're using ClickUp and see if we can help support you in the integration, and in the meantime, be able to try it out a little bit. So besides with our use case, that is. The next one is, again, that's Airtable. We've got ClickUp. We've got Notion. If any of you guys are using Notion, we've got a few triggers available through here as well. Now, remember, triggers and actions, there are actions for each of these as well. I'm only demonstrating triggers right now, and then I'm going to jump into the actions. The last one, besides ClickUp, Notion, Airtable, is Google Contacts. Now, this is pretty cool, not necessarily on the trigger side, but on the action side, being able to take contacts that are either like reaching a certain point in the process with you, or maybe any new contact that you create, you want to add them to Google Contacts so that they're saved inside inside of somewhere else besides HighLevel. There's a couple different things that you can do with this here. But this is the next new update, next updated like in-app integration with an outside tool. So again, no Zapier needed. This is just native inside of your HighLevel workflow builder. So what about the actions? Again, same thing. If we go to Airtable, we've got create record, update record, delete record, and find record. I do know at least a couple of you guys that are using Airtable. So I know this is exciting for some of you guys. ClickUp, same thing. A lot more actually built out into the ClickUp integration. HighLevel uses ClickUp, I'm pretty sure, internally. So that would make sense as to why there's a little bit more support for these, as well as it's going to be dependent on what the API looks like. So if ClickUp's API is more built out, more robust, then obviously it's going to be easier for HighLevel to build integrations with it. Notion. I know some of you guys use Notion as well, so you have the ability to find pages, find database items, retrieve pages, add content, etc. All of this into here. I have very little familiarity with Notion, so if you are using Notion, I'd love to hear about it. Again, that means you're like a techie, you're our kind of people. We would love to know more about how you use Notion in your mortgage business if you do. Last one is Google Contacts. And this just gives us the ability to create a contact. So again, if we get if we get a contact created inside of HighLevel, maybe we want to create that contact inside of Google Contacts as well. You have that ability to do that now. Okay. Now, those are the workflow updates. Again, just a handful of them all, but what it does is it paints a picture of like what's to come as well, right? That's how a lot of these updates kind of work. And what gets us excited is we can see when HighLevel starts focusing on a specific area of functionality. So if this means that HighLevel is going to be more and more focused on building native integrations inside of the workflow builder, we're really excited about that. All right. Next up is you now have a QR code element within the page builder. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not sure what the use case is for putting a QR code on a landing page, right? Because a QR code is typically going to take you to a website. So, having like if you're in a web browser, then how are you going to scan the QR I don't know. I don't know. I know some of you. I know some of you guys will look at this as like, hey, we can have a landing page. We can throw it up on a webinar, for example. Okay, that makes sense. But you could also just take that QR code and put it on a slide on your webinar. So if you know how, if you have an idea of how you would use this, we'd love to hear about it. Again, I look at this. I've always kind of thought it was weird. The idea of putting a QR code on a website just seems like circular and not really useful. But if you feel otherwise, if you have an example of how that's used, once again, we would love to hear from you. We love being proven wrong. That's the only way that we're going to learn, only way that we're going to get better and keep making things better for you guys. Guys, that's it. That was my weekly breakdown. I told you it was going to be short and sweet, told you it was going to be simple. Hopefully you stayed around to the end. Stay tuned for next week's weekly breakdown. But until then, we'll see you at the top.